with the election of Orban, the trend is definitely charted. The trend is not settled yet. Settlement will come when the November midterms come. Then we shall see what the trend is. Because that will be the key part where the momentum will build. That will be the arc light that will go from the dynamo to the turbine. So, people who are on the left, the progressives and liberals, are going to witness it's going to be a series of months of comeuppance. So to some degree, there must be the inevitable crisis of some point, which, from what I gather, is supposed to be a food crisis coming up. But we will see how that turns out. At one point, somebody pointed out, said, no, when the collapse comes, it will be as though a disease of the body. That what happens is the body attempts to keep the heart from being attacked by a disease. So it will do things constantly to keep the illness in outer layers. So in Chinese medicine, they even conceive of it this way. Like you can't let the malevolent wind get too deep toward your bones and marrow. Once it's in the bone and marrow, it is supposed to be that's when it has gone through a full cycle and is actually to some degree deadly. It could then attack I want to say Fu organs, the solid organs. Cancers are, cancers attack the Zong organs as well. Actually, that's not correct because, the colon cancer is being one of the most common. But yeah, anyway, the Zong Fu, hollow solid. It's a reference to the internal organs. That which is male, yang, has no, it is empty. It's the empty organs, the stomach, the large intestine, I think descending colon, if I remember correctly. Sometimes they'll put a colon as what the reference is. So it's easier to remember the solid organs, where you have the heart is considered, that's a weird one. The heart, the heart, because the heart and the pericardium are two different organs, in a way. And then there's an organ that's not there, called the three furnaces. And it actually refers to, like, the three dermatomes of the thorax, and how you could actually, one dermatome being the urogenital dermatome, the other being the area like the midpoint, the stomach, spleen, liver, kidneys, then the upper part being the lung and the heart, that you then get these three furnaces, these three places that the chi pools in front at certain points of the body. So and these wouldn't be very hard to do. These would be something that anybody who knows anything about the glands would know. Okay, that makes sense. There's this gland, that set of glands, and that set of glands there, and then there is that nerve junction, or that nerve bundle. And so, wow, it's been a while since I thought about anything like that. This is why I've stayed young. That's what's running through the back of my mind. That's the background. I'm constantly running diagnostics on my DOS, you could say. the left is going to have a hard time with things. You see, there we go. See, a right-winger like me, Chinese medicine, kung fu, and all that, that's not like it didn't become like something I wore, like an outfit. It didn't even try to like beat people up, really. It was that I wanted to live a long time. And it seemed like there were people that I was seeing who had like secrets to long life and to life better than I understood it at the time. And I wanted to know those secrets. And I mean, and I even think about it now, the way my teacher put it, and you pay. You will go to somebody, you will have that envelope, and that envelope better be fat. And if they know their shit, then then the next part is you pay with your time. You pay them money. The next part is you pay with your time, and that's how you get this. That's how you get it. That's how it's obtained. You know, you have to want to pay, and you want to have to pay the price, and so So the trend now. Orban's election. Now the next part of the trend will be France's elections to see who captures France. That will be a particularly interesting election. I'm actually very, very fascinated with it. You see, I don't know terribly that much about the Francosphere, really. And so it's just one of these things that I just think about every so often. Like, I don't know that much about France and their politics and who's the big deal in France and stuff. But I mean, I've started kind of catching up to, let's see, one time around, because you see, now I know the distance I'm doing. Okay, that 2 miles. Okay. You see, there's this part of me that's like, I'd actually kind of like to know, like, how much distance I'm kind of walking, because I know I walk for a certain amount of time, but I don't really know for, like, what distance I'm walking. It's kind of nice that the track is here. It's kind of handy. But one of the things I think people are picking up on is the liberals are going to pay. That is going to be the part about all of these elections that's going to be the most fascinating, is that we're going to see that the libs are going to, the libs know they're going to pay. All the media across the Eurosphere is now terribly worried about this. I've been thinking about how anybody who called himself an anti-fascist, almost every possible way that you could have been betrayed, made to look stupid, just shown up. I mean, like, really, really, where it's that like utter and complete failure. You were completely defeated. The powers that, like, okay, a lot of you laughed about George Soros, but then some of you actually figured out, wait a second, this guy George Soros is actually this super wealthy guy who funds political activity that you kind of like, but he will crush countries in a way that is as vulture capitalist as possible, as humanly possible. So the very movement, internationally, one of the most important organizations for the for LGBTQ plus A22SP rights, that ampersand rights, you know, that one of your greatest funders funds it literally by crushing countries underfoot, by manipulating forex markets, or having this incredible power over forex markets, that if he doesn't get what he wants, he openly then funds political movements that then utilize what apparently are extremely violent, either ultra nationalist football fans or outright Nazi paramilitaries. That Antifa literally is being funded by the kind of person who would fund neo-Nazis. There's no way around this. There's no way around this. Like, your movement can't exist without the kind of funding going back to ultra-capitalism, this kind of bizarre amount of control over governments that certain specific kind of very specific businesses have, that you would never have succeeded without Twitter and Facebook and Google openly being on your side. And so you've actually had to, you're being supported by big capital. And you all aren't really getting, no, there's a whole bunch of corporations that want to destroy the society and then rebuild it as they wish in their image. And Antifa are their children. These are their demented, broken fucking kids that, So, and beyond even that, it's not only that those are demented, broken kids, but then you have all these other forms of shit libs that are also beneficiaries of such largesse, from political parties linked then to a specific cabal of certain firms in telecommunications and print media, or online print media. And so that nobody's fooled, and that there's this sort of weird, where everybody in society sort of looking at each other, holding their guns, but not drawing them yet. That part of the Western, the music is getting louder and stuff, and I really think, no, there's a whole bunch of people that are figuring out that it's, no, when these guys get elected, they're going to mess us up real bad. And yeah, you're right. You really, really should be worried. Because there was a quote from Huxley that I recently saw that was kind of one of those moments where it's as if heaven was saying to me, and it was a quote basically about, at a certain point, you get a certain level of power, and it goes beyond just this rational movement to improve things, and you come to a stage that you can then punish those who aren't in agreement with you. And it will come to, and I was thinking about it, there will be a stage at which people say, well, but should we just avoid this by not allowing people like that to be able to teach? And this is why I keep warning people about genomics and physiognometric deep learning AI technology, like face-to-gene technology. Is at some point there's going to be the thing where there's going to be people they're going to use physiognometrics and a battery of tests that won't even come across as a battery of tests to test your personality. And it's to test your personality. And there's a whole lot of people that I really think should understand that it's this will be a new vetting process that it'll be a new vetting process, an amazing new vetting process. Discrimination is the future. Nationalism is the future, but the other side of this will be discrimination. People will discriminate, but it will be on what grounds? And then, is it irrational? is this like for kind of a good reason, but that is going to be a part of this future, and people should understand it and start kind of getting the ramifications. The right needs to also grasp, like, you are going to have a lot of power to discriminate against people. You are going to have a lot of power to keep people out, and they will want in. Was it Eric July, I believe his last name is, with the beard, black dude with the beard in Texas, that super awesome voice, just all around, homie is awesome. He's just an entertainment, the full package. One of the things that he was talking about, the right funds the left. The left does not fund the right. And that's also going to play a big role, because as I keep bringing up, that, it took me time to finally accept the liberal vote is the female vote. The left does not fund the right funds the left. It's that when it comes down to it, without men giving women the money, without men giving women the attention, without men giving women the power, they don't have any of it. There's only so much that they could actually have, because there's only so much that they can and are willing to compete for. And now that men are getting this sense of, oh, it's us against the women, because the women want it like that. They keep telling us this. They keep openly telling us this, and then coming back to us crying, saying, why are you obeying the rules of the game as we set them? So there will be open discrimination against many women. There will be, no, I'm sorry, you are fat. Kevin Samuels is already showing this. Dress size, height, height, weight, dress size, and I mean, Big Shirley, I got greens, beans, tomatoes, yams, hams, hogs, you name it, I got it. Also, an amazing sample, one of those, because I got it. That's like a sample, like that's in a lot of old hip hop, like that specific sample. Like he just has the first part, which I'm like, that's dope. I know what sample that is. I was like, holy shit. Anyway, so the open discrimination is going to be something that people in the long run, like somebody like Vaush, will be the old leftist NPR kind of person, like, who pops in and it's like, noted socialist thinker Vaush, what are you thinking about this? But it'll be so trite. This will be so phony all the time. Everything the left will do will become more and more and more phony. And have weird, like, this, it'll always be at a weird clip. It'll sound weird to people. Like, it'll actually literally just sound weird. But like, yeah, stuff like that it's coming. While the right is going to have, like, these long form, awesome things like, podcast of the Lotus Eaters, and really interesting streams, because all these people will know, oh yeah, well, no, the story actually went like this. Then all these fucking shitheads and weirdos got a hold of it. But, ever since they've been openly discriminated against, now nobody has to worry about the weirdos messing it up. And so it's coming. And it's going to be that all the time. It's going to be like, oh, no, this is just a weirdo. They just like messing things up. It's his Big Shirley salting game again. Like that idea of, my friend Big Shirley, my friend Big Yasmin, salting game, salting all the other girls' game at the bar, or salting our game when we were out, and some guys tried to talk, and yada yada. Like this, so these kind of cultural things will become like an understandable and understood, oh, he's woke. So, I mean, is he like kind of gay? Things, that kind of stuff will come up. But also then there's this aspect of it that's going to be very, 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 very hard for people. Wow, that's totally a huge amount of barf. It's like out of nowhere, in the middle of nowhere. Like, I'm like, what the fuck? There's hella barf on the ground. Lastly, is now we're starting to see this thing, the liberals, the lesbian liberal school teachers, and how they're a huge, like, there's no way around it, because this is something that we've all understood for a while, that everything having to do with the upbringing of men is that it's done entirely by women. Men spend very little time with youthful males. Very, very, very little time. Males don't hang out with other males. They're not hanging out with older males someplace. There isn't some social area where all the males gather. This is how women see things, because women do conspire kind of and rebel against society in a way that's detrimental to everybody. The males are always trying to find ways of fitting into other groups of males and fitting into some type of hierarchy, especially a hierarchy of some form of interests, sports, certain, fantasy stories, sci-fi stories, games, this thing, this, that, and the other, and then they compete. Even nerds and dorks compete. That is why there are role-playing games and there's Dungeons and Dragons. Nerds and dorks will compete. How do dorks compete? They come up with wilder and wilder and wilder fantasy stories to make people play through, and upon strictly an agreed set of rules. And you have to roll dice, because you got to use math, because math is dude. And anyway, math is fair, math is dude, because dudes believe in fairness. So one of the things that's coming is this open understanding of why is this thing of liberal women who are lesbians have to talk to kids about sex. Why overwhelmingly, and then why do you then have all these gay men that are obviously at some level in administration or making the materials? Because I lived in San Francisco, I've been around the community. The men are the money, the lesbians are the angry foot soldiers of gayness, and this is in only among those that there is something, obviously a problem they have with society. There's a bunch of people that I've encountered all my life that are gay, that are just, they don't have an interest in what anybody else is doing or thinking or saying. They have their own problems. They have their own, they're just trying to do their thing. That's it. Obviously though, there are a huge number of this very small number of people that it is becoming clear what's really going on. And now there's too many of us that are like, no, we know you people. You've told us stories about your life. We observe the way you live. But you can't tell us that don't believe our lying eyes. And this is coming. And the people better understand this election in Hungary is the beginning of this. Only one more set of elections, and this is a solid trend. This isn't a guessing trend. I would bet money on these trends. This is a 10-year investment kind of thing, because if Orban, this means that the Visegrad group is now a thing for sure, and Poland is becoming a real thing now. Like, just like George Friedman said, Poland would become a substantial power in the near future. And now it's happening. So Friedman was correct, and then Friedman called it nationalism is going to be the future as well. A global system is not going to happen. You could even find Friedman defending nationalism. The creator of Stratfor, yes, you could find him defending nationalism in talks for students on YouTube. And so people who want Globo Chomo and it's gonna be a rough road to hoe. It's gonna be a rough road to hoe. All right, and then oh my gosh, like there's going to be basically a period of time that's coming that people are going to say, remember when we were into social justice? Tee hee, oh my god, yeah, like Black Lives Matter.